Okay. All right. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, and welcome back to the DM show. Yes, this is Delancey. You're so welcome to hear my voice today. I know you just heard Milena do the intro on the last one that we did, so it's my turn. And it's really my turn because we have a special guest tonight. I am so excited to have her on here. I've been following her on TikTok and Instagram. You may know her on Instagram as Authentically Jill. She has just shy of 24,000 followers on there, and she has such an incredible story to share. So we brought Jill on, and I will just turn it over to Jill and just let her go ahead and start sharing her story.
All right. Well, I am so happy to be here. And okay, so the story that we're talking about tonight is just all about the adoption, correct? Like that's where you want me to start with it at? Okay. Um, there's so many stories that all tie together. So I will say that starting with the adoption story, so we fostered, first of all, a boy named Hakeem, and he came into our life, a little over 5 years ago now. And a lot of people like to know how that even took place because we had never even met Hakeem when we said yes to him coming into our family. So I know that that's like a different kind of scenario. But my oldest son, Brandon, he's one that I just love the way that God works because I had Brandon whenever I was a teenager, and he's just been like the one that just has been so mature, even probably more mature even than me at times in our lives. But he was volunteering with our church, and he was going out to a boys' ranch, and he got to meet some of the kids out there. And he and Hakeem immediately hit it off. And on this particular day, it was a few days before Christmas, I think 3 days before Christmas in 2017. And he went out there to take Hakeem a couple Christmas gifts. And he went with one of my friends, and who was a PE teacher who also knew Hakeem from school. And he saw Hakeem out there and was taking him his gifts. And Hakeem was kind of in a tizzy. And he said, what's going on? And Hakeem said, they're moving me. And they're moving me to a foster home that has 11 kids. And Brandon was like, oh my gosh. And it just like hit him. And he was like, what if you could stay with us? And Hakeem was like, I'd like that. And all Hakeem knew was Brandon. And Brandon really just let those words come out of his mouth before he ever even thought, like, I wonder how this is going to impact our family, you know? And so he came home, and he came home with my friend Kim, and they called on the way home, and they're like, hey, we have something to talk about whenever we get home. And I was like, okay. And they walked in the door, and Brandon had these huge tears, and they started rolling down his face. And he said, Mom, there's this boy at the ranch, and we really need to help him. And, because of the character of who Brandon is, and because it was something pretty outside of his character, not to help people, but to really want to bring somebody into our home. I knew that it was, probably something that was really, that we needed to do. And the interesting thing is that my husband and I were not on really great terms in our marriage. We had been struggling in our marriage. We got married when we were young. We'd been struggling in our marriage. And so we had to make this decision as a family, because it's not one person to make that decision when you foster, it's an entire family. And so we each talked about it, and we sat down. I remember I was cooking dinner, and my kids were standing at the bar, and I said, this will be, a sibling. It won't be just somebody who's in our house for a little while. Like, this would be like your sibling, because when kids are this age and they've been in the system, they need a permanent placement. And so, we can talk a little bit about that here in a little bit, but, kids are tossed around, and there's a lot of disappointments that they have. And so I knew that he was at the age he needed a permanent placement. And my kids like all agreed. And it was like everybody was on the same page, and none of us had met him before. And so we agreed without even meeting Hakeem. I had no idea what he looked like. Nothing. We had no idea. And so I was like, it was a unanimous yes. A few signs kind of happened, and I had prayed about it, and God had just shown me a few different people in my life at that time that really kind of solidified it. But then I said, but I want to meet him. We decided yes, but I want to meet him. And we laugh about it now, because I went out to the ranch, and they showed me who Hakeem was, and I was like, Hakeem, I'm Jill, and he was having a bad day, another bad day. He was upset over a bad haircut, and I think he was just really uncomfortable. Like, this is a hard transition. You've been in this home for over a year and a half, and you're having to transition out. And yes, it's the better option of where he was going to have to go, but this is still, I can't imagine even what his emotions were going through that. And he was just kind of acting real distant and everything. And it was not love at first sight. We laugh about it like it was not love at first sight. But I just finally said, "Do you want to come live with us or not?" And he said, "Yes, ma'am." And I was like, okay. And so we went home and I thought, oh boy. We went home and I started changing all the rooms around because I wanted him to come home to his own room. And I went to Hobby Lobby and we cleared out all the rooms so he would come home to his own room. It had his name on the wall, his own bed, all of those things. And that's where it started.
So, had you fostered before
No,
this?
no, we had not. Wow. So that's really interesting for people because most of the time you have to have a certification or, you have to go through the classes ahead of time. One of the things that I realized is that we didn't have any of that. We do live in a small community, so people know your character and they know who you are, that kind of thing. So that may have made a little bit of a difference. But with teenagers, I think a lot of times, especially in that situation, it's really hard to find placement for teenagers. And so when a family does come forward to say that they'll take a teenager, I think they're a little bit more lenient on that. And so Hakeem actually came to us 2 days later on Christmas Eve. And that's whenever he came into our home, was on Christmas Eve of 2017. And so he got to be with us all Christmas Day and he was like our Christmas present.
I was literally about to say, what a Christmas present for everybody.
Yeah.
Just for everyone.
Yeah. And I don't think my son, knew, especially, like 6 months in or whatever, because there's trials, there's hardships. And I don't think my son knew. He was like, gosh, Mom, I had no idea. And I'm like, yeah, I did. I did. That's why we really had to pray about it. Like I've had other children before. So we really had to pray about it. But it was, it's amazing because I always said, I'll never do this. I'll never do that. We say these things in our mind, or we even say them out loud sometimes. And I said, I would never have a child in my home the same age as my daughter. And at that moment, I did not even think about them being the same age. There was no fear around it, nothing. And they are literally a month and a day apart.
Wow.
I didn't even realize they were that close in age. Because I'm that creepy person that I watch like all of her videos like all the time.
I'm so glad.
The time. Like all the time. And I remember watching the video of your daughter with I think I can't remember if it was a point of view or something, like saying it's so great to have brothers, but this is her real life, and she's like literally wrestling her brothers. Like almost it's so wholesome, but it's very clear that they don't care that she's a girl. Like they treat her like she's one of the boys. I did not realize that they were that close in age. I don't know. It's hard for me to tell with teenagers how old they are.
Right. Like, it's just totally God's perfect plan because Aaliyah's always been the baby, per se. Mm-hmm. She's still the youngest in our home. So she's still the baby. But Hakeem also thinks now he's the baby because he's youngest by grade. So they're both the babies.
That's so funny. No, and I love that. And honestly, it reminds me of The Blind Side, like of how we've touched on this a couple times with different people, how people are like, how dare you can bring him into your household with a daughter like that. And
same age.
It annoys me because it's like, dude, family can be however it needs to be. People are not going into things for the intentions that people like to be like, ew. So I love that. No, I love that. And I love that they just like, she loves it. Like it's her brother. Yes. I think that's so awesome.
I'm not going to lie. I did after like he was already in the home and we had gone through these days of, like preparing the room and all of that. And then he got there and then I'm laying in bed that first night and I'm like, I have a stranger in my house, honestly. I mean, you have to think about it that way because he's a teenager. I don't know what he's capable of. I don't know his history. I don't know anything. And I'm thinking, like I had a peace about it up until that. So I know that God like spared me of that until that moment. And then it was like, we're just going to see where this goes. But they hit it off. Hakeem connected with my husband before me. He connected with my other kids before me. And that was extremely hard for me. And I've spoke on that in some videos because kids always connect with me. And it took me a while to realize it, but my kids jumped in right there as siblings together. And I mean, when you watch their interactions, you see that, they look like they have been siblings their entire life. And, Hakeem's really just been a part of our family for 5 years, but it doesn't feel like that. It feels like You know, it feels like we've always been a family. And
I'm gonna have
but
to
I
go
do
binge watch all your
see,
videos now.
yeah.
You have to. You wouldn't know it's only I
I
had no
started
idea it was only
following her,
five
so I'm gonna have to
years.
go
Oh,
watch
good.
everything. Okay, sorry, Jill. I didn't
I
mean to interrupt you.
am.
Go on though.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm still a little caught off guard that it's only 5 years because the
With
interactions,
having
the
her.
the love, the family, the like it's
It's so
I honestly
awesome.
thought it was like me and Milena like from birth.
Hmm.
I
Like
love it.
that's
I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah. And speaking to that, like connecting with me though, that was extremely hard because
mhm,
I do always like I have a really great relationship with each of my kids. I've always connected deep with, you know, with them. And so it was hard. And then I realized it wasn't happening with him. But what I did realize was that the women in his life were the ones that had let him down. And so it was
Oh,
really hard for him to connect with me at that point because he was testing me. He was testing me from the get-go.
mhm.
that makes sense.
That
That makes
that makes a
sense.
lot of sense.
But
He
that's
probably wanted to
hard.
make sure that you weren't gonna I don't want to say let him down, but you weren't gonna follow in the same footsteps. I can
Right.
Yeah, I think they definitely, he was testing, he was seeing if, you know, how soon can I get rid of them so I don't get hurt, you know, like, let me push all the limits to see, because I can remember he just kept asking me things like, what if I do this? Are you going to send me back? What if I do this? You're going to send me back? And I finally, I remember I pulled off on an exit. I can tell you exactly where I was. And I pulled off on an exit and I was in the car in my van and I pulled around and I grabbed his little chin and I said, Hakeem, whatever you do, you will have consequences for your actions, but you're never going back there. You're with us forever. And it was kind of like, okay, like that was one of the first pieces of letting down his guard. And then he would
Yeah.
come and sit by me on the couch more. And, you know, physical touch is one of his love languages, and let me rub his back or let me play with his hair or, you know, things like that. And then at that point, it didn't take him long to really let down his guard.
I, I can't even imagine. And like we've talked about this, foster to adopt is so much different
mhm,
than just like
mhm,
for us, like because we were both adopted as infants, like all that
mhm.
trauma that comes with it. And bless his heart. And I love so much that you guys were able to break those walls down and form that bond because he's a cute kid. I looked at your Instagram. He's a cute kid and he just seems just like a sweetheart. Like I love it. Like, oh, I love it so much.
He's
And
truly amazing. I mean, with
the
the
way
trauma that he has been through
mhm,
in his life and all of that, it's truly incredible the way he is. He's so forgiving. He's got such a quick rebound of things. Like if he gets in trouble for things or whatever, he's got such a quick rebound, but he doesn't carry resentment from his past. And I think that that's really incredible. Whenever you're a
That
teenager that has
is.
experienced what he has in the system,
mhm.
to not carry that resentment forward, even toward his biological family that has hurt him, you know, and he doesn't
Right.
carry that resentment. And he and I
Yeah.
actually got to see his bio mom a couple years ago.
Oh, here's the video. See,
How
I'm on the sidelines watching, and there's like, how cute is that?
I,
Okay, sorry. I'll have
I
to
was
do
gonna
it for
say
you
like
after I put my
yeah, I was
kids
gonna
to
say
bed.
like pin. I was gonna say pin that because I have questions about the videos because like that everything that you're sharing and that knowing the videos that I've watched, like I'm gonna circle back to that. Meeting the bio mom,
Mhm.
what was that
Yeah,
like?
so that's another interesting story because they're not from my town, and his grandmother passed away, and they had the funeral in our hometown, which I don't know why that happened. I don't know the reasoning for why that was, but I'm thankful it was because it gave us the opportunity. Somebody did contact him and let him know that his grandmother had passed, and she was a special person in his life, and so we had gone back and forth, and he had said, you know, should I go? Should I not go? And I said, that's your decision, but you're never going to have this opportunity again. You know, like it's not
Right.
something you get a second chance on. So what's the harm in us going? And we kind of got to the bottom of it and figured out that he was really scared of how they would treat me. And he didn't know how they would act toward me. And so he
Which
didn't
is
want to put me in a hard position. And I said, Hakeem, I can handle myself. I'm not confrontational. We'll just
mhm,
leave. If they're, you know, if they're not nice, then we'll leave, you know, like, let's just go pay our respects to your grandmother. And we got there before anybody else did. And he got to go and do that up to the casket. And I got to go with him up there. And then we sat and we waited. And different family members came in and he got to give him a hug. And then as his mother came in, she, he saw her, and it had been years since he had seen her. And he got to give her a hug, and they immediately both started sobbing and crying together. And he said, it makes me so emotional, but he got to really tell her how that he had forgave her, and that he knew that she just wasn't ready to be a mother to him that she could be, and that he forgave her for that, and that he validated me so much in that situation. He told her that he does have a mom now that can fulfill that role, and just how thankful he was for me. And y'all, he was 16. I mean, at 16 years old, to get to be that mature, to forgive your mom in that moment of knowing she just wasn't capable at that time of being the mom she needed to be, and to validate me as his mom now.
His mom.
Yeah,
his mom.
his mom now, and to validate me in front of his entire family. Like, it was the most beautiful thing I've ever got to be a part of.
Were you bawling? I would have been bawling.
I was going to say, like, I'm about to bawl. Like, what a beautiful moment.
And I took pictures of them because I wanted him to have that. I took pictures of them together, his aunt, his uncle, his mom, because I wanted him to have that, and he'll always have that. And, she, at the end of the day, she's his biological mom, and he had many memories with her. And, now he gets to, I mean, he's almost 19 years old now. He gets to choose the path that goes as far as with her. But I think it gave him a sense of relief of saying the things that he needed to say.
Wow, that's amazing.
Did they have, like, I almost feel like they may have had a lot of questions for you, or did they, I always feel like that would kind of be like an awkward time and place to ask the questions, because, but
I know that a couple of them had followed me on Facebook, and I've always been very clear they are always welcome to contact me. I won't I've never gave them Hakeem's number from a young age, because that's, I need to set boundaries around my son with that. And he always preferred that they had my number instead. And so he does have biological brothers he talks to, but his bio mom and aunt and uncle, they would always go through me.
That's awesome. I love that you said, I need to set boundaries around my son.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Melena, you're going to see a video that she did. I'm not sure if it's on, I can't remember if it's TikTok or Instagram, because I follow her on both, but there's one about her being a protective mama. And I was like, I feel that.
I have that pinned on, I think I have that one pinned on TikTok, because people do come at you, and especially whenever I'm white and he's black, and like, there's a lot of hate that sometimes comes that way. But at the end of the day, I'm his mother, and I do have to set boundaries around that. And I love him, just like I love my other children.
And
hell yes. Say it louder, please. Will you just say that louder and more and more and more?
Say it louder for the people in the back.
Seriously. Because I'm a transracial adoptee. Like, my family's white, and I'm, Colombian. And so I get it. And so it's annoying when people are like, they're white. Yeah. My parents are white. Get over it. Okay.
Right.
It's fine. It's my mom.
Right.
It's my dad. Like,
right.
I hate it.
Yeah.
I hate it so bad. So I love
it always seems to open those questions where people, I firmly believe that half the time they don't mean to sound the way that they sound, and then the other half of the time they do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I've realized that more so on the other half. I always wanted to believe, like, blissful ignorance, I guess, and then when they double down and they say, like, real, like, because I'm the same as Melena. Like, my family's Italian and white and German, I think is what my dad is. So, like, I kind of blend, because I'm half white, half Mexican. So I blend with them very well. And then my sister I'm closest to, blonde hair, blue eyes, like stunning blonde hair, blue eyes. But people get so, like, get this look on their face when we say we're sisters. They're like real ones.
Right.
Like, someone the other day goes, like, by blood? I went, no. And they're like, well, then you're not sisters. I was like, I'm adopted. I'm her sister.
Yeah.
And my sister was like, she's my sister. And he goes, oh, I didn't mean it to be. And I was like, no, I know you didn't, like, but
right.
Like,
do you want to know the funny thing? My sisters, who are biologically my parents, the two of them, they're total opposites. Dark hair, brown eyes. The other one's blonde, blue-eyed. And they are biologically related. But that's, like, you put all three of us together, and we don't.
The blonde looks adopted, doesn't she?
Yeah.
The blonde in my family looks adopted too. Everyone says that. They're like, "Are you sure she's not the adopted one?" I'm like, "I know, right? It's weird." Um, so how many? You had never fostered before. Hakeem was living at the ranch. Had he been in another home before
Yeah.
the ranch? And what is the ranch?
Yeah.
In a
So the
nutshell.
ranch is a boys residential facility.
Okay.
And so, I don't know how it is in all areas. I just really can specifically speak to our area. So he was in foster care first and with actual families. And he got tossed around a lot. And I think that that's common. They say that whenever you're placed, like you can have, the average is like 7 placements in the state of Missouri for the placements that you have before, a lot of times you'll even get adopted. And that's if you get adopted, and your chances of getting adopted go down extremely low after 9. And he didn't come into the system until 9. And so by 13, he just, the chances of him getting adopted had been extremely low. And the part that I really hate is that, these kids are let down over and over, but there had been other families that had said, we're going to try to take you in. We're going to try to take you in. And then he didn't react a certain way that they wanted him to react. And so they decided not to. So they're constantly let down, they're constantly feeling that rejection. And that is something that I just hate, that they have that many placements in, the way that it is. But we need more foster care positions. We need more people who are willing to step into foster care, and good people that are willing to step up into foster care and into adoption. But I forgot the question.
Oh, no, you're fine. I was asking about the ranch piece. Like, you caught my attention with the he didn't, they don't react. Like, is it because they're not like as excited as they should be? I mean, that's the only thing I can.
Yeah. So like there was one family that I had been told ahead of time that was they had decided that they were going to take him in, and then they came to meet him and they gave him a gift. And whenever he got the gift, he didn't react, I guess maybe the way that they wanted him to react, like being thankful for the gift. And so they decided not to. And the only way I can explain that is that God had a place for him with us, and that he wouldn't have been placed with us had all of those things not happened. But I hate that. And so like even those little things like that rejection that happens over and over, the way that he can continue to go his life without carrying things forward in that and without carrying resentment around that amazes me, because I think I would be crushed in a situation where somebody made me feel not good enough over a Christmas gift or something like that.
We had one of my best friend's husband on, who he was foster, and he actually told us how he went to a family, and for Christmas, we were just barely talking about this, Lindsay, extravagant. They went like all out for Christmas, and it made him extremely uncomfortable. And they were like foster, other foster kids, but he ended up running away because he's like, that is not a lifestyle for me. I can't do that, because he was so used to, he's like, you guys would go and do fun play dates with kids. He's like, mine was going and breaking into cars while you guys were doing fun things, so we could get things to provide for my mom. So then my mom could, go sell things and buy drugs. Like, that's just, it was his normal. But the human that he is today, it's just like your son, to where he doesn't hold that resentment, and he knows things are supposed to happen, and just the beautiful human that he's turned into. And it's just so amazing, these people that go through such turmoil, and they're like some of the greatest people you'll ever meet, which I love. And it sounds like your son's just that way. Like, I love that. It's amazing. And he's 19, right? Is that what you said?
He's about to be 9. He'll be 19 in April. So yeah, he's 18 right now. It's his senior year of high school. April 21st.
I'm April 10th. So he and I are like close. I was like hoping he was close. He was a little closer, but like.
Yeah, and so he's getting ready to finish out his senior year, and he's got a big season of track ahead of him, and he's just doing really great.
That's awesome.
There's Milena, there's a video I have to think, because it is his senior year, and it shows that I'm just gonna keep referencing her videos, because like her videos are so amazing, and it's so mind-blowing to me that it's only been 5 years, because it's this video that says nothing prepares you for the heartbreak of the end of your season. And it's I'm guessing it's his final football game.
It was,
It was. And it's like, he's immediately just like melts into her arms. and you can just hear him tear up. And it's just like, it's such a, so I got, that's like, I'm so just enamored with knowing that y'all didn't bond immediately. You didn't like hit it off. Like, you know, you didn't have that immediate connection, because that particular video is that one of those things where it's only a son's love for a mother, only a mother's love for a son. Like, that's all that you can see there is the love between the two of them. It's so, I can't wait for you to watch Race. I'm sorry. Go ahead with your question.
No, I'm excited. No, I was gonna, okay, so how did, because I know technically most foster parents have to go through like home studies and all that lengthy stuff. So how did it, because I feel like you were like the reversal. So how did that all happen?
We did go through all of that. We just did it after we had him. So he got to come to us, and then we had to go through all of the training and all of the classes and all of the health preparation and all of that. We had to do it as he was already living with us.
Cool. But he got to stay. Yeah, he got to stay with you, right?
He got to stay with us the entire time because we did a kinship placement because of Brandon's relationship with him through the ranch. We got to do a kinship placement.
Oh, so cool. Is the ranch, since Brandon was doing the volunteer work through the church, is the ranch a Christian-based or faith-based type?
No, it's really not. But our church, we still volunteer out there. We go out once a month and just try to build relationships with some of the kids. You know, I think that sometimes people don't realize the other ways that they can help out. You know, it doesn't have to just be foster. It doesn't have to just be adoption. That you can literally be a visiting resource for one of those children that's in a residential facility that has nobody coming to see them. I mean, Hakeem was in that facility and had no biological family that tried to make contact with him for 4 years. So that's, you know, you have a lot of kids in that situation that are just would love to have a visiting resource. And so I think there's a lot of ways that people can help without actually fostering or adopting if they're not at that place in their life. But it did bring us into a whole nother ministry because we got to, with our church, we got to start a ministry called 1418 Ministries is what we call it. And it's based off of a Bible verse, but the ministry is to help bring awareness into our community about more things with foster and adoption and to get more families certified that want to be certified and all of that. And actually 2 years ago, we got to Children's Division came to us as our ministry and asked if we would head the foster party for the local circuit. So each year, we've done it for 2 years now. We just had the party last Saturday. We get to put on a foster party for every child that's in our circuit. So over 500 kids. And we get them all sponsored. So people in our community step up to get each of these 500 kids sponsored $100 a kid so that they can have Christmas. And their foster families come and get their Christmas bags and take them with them while the kids come and have their party for the night. So there's like bounce houses and swimming pools and basketball and candle or like cookie making and all these things. And they get a nice dinner while the families get to be a part of that as well. And so it's something that we've gotten to take part in. And I'm just so thankful. You know, you don't always know the needs of a community or the needs of something until you get to be a part of it. And bringing Hakeem into our life really got to shed some light onto where some needs were.
Cool. How amazing is that? That's awesome. So like you're one of the good ones. We need more people like that. I feel like I tell everybody that comes on that does foster, because seriously, you guys have like, we know there's some really crappy foster people out there, but like when you find people, like it's just amazing and wonderful.
Well, and it's nice to be able to highlight that. It's nice to be able to say, yes, it's not this, like, yes, there, like you said, there are awful situations, but it's not all like, we have people like Jill out there and like that work with her and everything. Like and it's like, if you're a great person too, you can step up and help out as well. Like I think it's going to be helpful to know that it's not just like a one-stop shop. Like if you don't have like, say, the ability to foster, then you can still help. You can still reach out. You can still do something like that.
You know, and to keep in mind that the kids didn't ask to be in that situation, you know, and they're the ones that are suffering for it. So really just keeping that as the focus, I think. And there's a quote by, I think it's Joshua Shipp or somebody like that says that every child is one caring adult away from a success story. And I'm like, how true is that? You know?
Well, it breaks my heart that there's 500 kids just in your teeny tiny community, like 500 in one small community. Like, can you imagine the whole United States? Like, that makes me sick because I have babies. You know what I mean? I have kids and I just,
half
take
a
for
million
granted.
in the United States, like 500,000 kids that are in foster care. Like
Yeah.
that's way too many.
Way too
Well, and
many.
it's, I think
Agreed.
there's such there's such like a misunderstanding too for those that aren't connected to foster care. They don't have any, like you said, with Hakeem coming in, you got your eyes opened to everything
Mhm.
with that community. And um, we actually have something that's kind of similar to what y'all are doing. It's called Homes for Hope here, and that's
Mm.
not literally here, but Homes for Hope, and it's a Christian based ministry for fostering, and it's like they have homes on the grounds and they do different things like that. And I think that there was just a lot of misunderstandings as to what it was and what like actual like I think in Monroe, Louisiana, there's a place called Baptist Children's Home, and then like there's other things like there's such a misperception or misconception as to what foster actually is,
Mhm.
and that it is for we've had so many foster people tell us that it is a lot of times based through reunification, but it's so nice to hear your side of no, if he's coming, it's for good. Like y'all need
Mhm.
to understand that him coming into our home, it's like he's a part of us, he's a part of our family. And I think that just like sets a whole tone before he even got there. Like the whole thing of him being a part of the family was just, I love that.
I think the mindset and the intention, what you talked about, like the permanent mindset going into it,
Mm-hmm.
that needed to be there for me because had that not been
Mm-hmm.
there, I'm going to tell you about 3 months in, it was hard, hard, hard. And because he would, like I told you, he would came in pushing my boundaries. So by
Mm-hmm.
3 months in of him pushing my boundaries, and I mean, I have really great kids and I haven't had to deal with pushing my boundaries like that, up until this point. And so had I gone into it with a temporary mindset, 3 months in, I would have been ready to be done. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm so thankful now because I look at the relationship we have, but we needed to go through that hard stuff to get to where we are today.
Right.
That's another example of the hard stuff leads to the blessings. Just want to point that out.
Mhm.
It's so true. I love that you you grabbed his face and told him pretty much tough shit, you're always stuck with us. I don't care what you do to me. Like really, I love that because
Yeah.
I think people don't understand that more kids need that are in such unstable environments. And for an adult to say
Mhm.
that, I think that's, probably why you, like you said, you guys bonded so well is because he's like, hey, she ain't lying. Like I
Mhm.
am here. I'm in it for the long haul and she loves me. And I love
Mhm.
that you guys have gotten to where you need to be. I'm excited to watch that video Delancey was talking about with the football season. So
Oh,
like I said, I know what I'm
okay.
doing after. I'm gonna go scroll.
I was gonna say all of them. There's even like videos of it's not Brandon, it's your second son. I cannot think of his
Brent.
name.
Brent.
Okay, thank you. Giving Hakeem advice on how to talk to a girl with the girl on the phone. It is it's and it's such a wholesome
Oh my
like
God.
brother moment that you can't help but crack up at it because you're like, this is the, and all of Jill's content is like it's so wholesome, and I still stand by it. It just catches me so off guard that it's only been 5 years because
Mhm.
it just doesn't look that way.
Mhm.
It just doesn't like there's no
Well, it
like
doesn't
the
feel that
way
way either.
right. There's no way it can. I was like, the bond that y'all have is just absolutely stunning. Like what he did to you with the Snapchat filter when you recorded him and you said I caught that on recording. I literally
Mhm.
did that to my mom not too long ago. Like
He's got that phone down here. He's trying to get me with like 4 chins or something, and he's like, that's how he likes to send the pictures to his friends. I'm like, that's stupid. Don't do that. And he's like,
it's
what? You need
so
this
funny.
angle? You need this angle, And I'm like, yeah, that's the 40-year-old mom angle. Get it from up high.
Exactly. It's like, okay, one day you're going to be in like your 30s and 40s. You're going to realize that you have to like angle up a little bit.
Yeah,
That's how you know. Like, come on.
yeah,
But
this is
For
it's
not
sure.
flattering down here.
especially, I'm telling you, when you said I recorded that so that people will see what you do to me, and I would just start dying. I was like, that's literally the same conversation my mom and I had with minus the recording part because she's like, Lancey, stop it, like quit doing that to me, and it's like it's just nice to see that stuff like that happens
Yep.
in other families, and it's such I don't know. I just think it's such an amazing thing to know that it didn't start perfect, but it's moving perfectly in the right direction. And I love that you
Right.
said like it's like you prayed about it a lot and you did, you talked as a family and that all y'all decided together, like, yes, we're gonna do this. And it's kind of like, I mean, it's Melanie and I both say it, like God's in all of it. And
Mhm.
that's even learning more about your story. I'm like, oh yeah, God's hand was totally in that.
Yeah,
Because
and I didn't even touch back on the whole marriage part, but I will tell you that when in our marriage, I told you it was rocky at the beginning before we said yes to bringing in Hakeem, and um, it's with my other children, I had gotten to a point where I didn't feel like I needed my husband to parent, and when Hakeem came into our family, because there was such a battle between he and I from the beginning, I needed my husband. I needed him. And Brian and I, we may not have been on the same page with a lot of things, but we were always on the same page with parenting. And so when Hakeem came to be part of the family, he got to see how my other kids treated me, which they are very respectful. We have a good time, but they're very respectful. And Aaliyah and I are just like super close. We're like best friends. And then Brent's the kind of brother that he, if Hakeem smarts off, he's going to like throw him off on his back and like take care of him. And Brandon's the type of brother who's like more going to talk it out, and then Brian's very stern and backs me up in everything. And so I will tell you that Brian and I will be married 25 years in May. And
awesome.
I didn't know that we would get to that point. And I think God used, I'm not going to say anybody should do this because it's not the right reason for a child to help prepare. And you would not normally say that. But that's the way God has used our story over and over, is to take in something that's so hard and like turn it into something that's so good. And, Brian and I are getting ready to have our 25th anniversary, and I didn't know that we would be here. And so I thought for sure that we would be getting a divorce at some point. And so it's amazing how God used that.
That's crazy.
So
That's so cool.
out of curiosity, like a follow-up question on that, because I know, like you said, as a family, did you and Brian talk about it first before you talk about it as a family, or did all of y'all talk about it at the same time? Like there was no sidebar conversation for the parents? Because I'm curious how, if Brian looked at you like, really?
Yeah, no, there was no sidebar because Brandon came into the kitchen that day. And so it was like wide open conversation at that moment. And like, we need to talk about this. And so we talked about it. And, but I did say, like, I need to know 100%, like, if we, like, this was a conversation we had. If we divorce, you'll get 50 custody and I'll get 50 custody. Like, this isn't something that's temporary. This isn't something I'm doing. This isn't something you're doing. This is something we are doing. And so, like, we all need to have that commitment with it. And yeah, it was an agreement by everybody. Like I said, I thought we would be divorced. So we had that conversation at the beginning.
It's crazy.
I love the fact that you're that open with your family is that open. Like that,
Yeah.
like that's, I can't think of very many, including mine, families that would be that, I don't know how else to say it, but like that transparent, that blatantly honest. Like if this happens, then this, if this happens, then this. Like
Right.
it's not very many. I appreciate that. I
I
appreciate
could
that
probably
level
do
of
a whole nother
honesty.
podcast on that because I think, whenever I got married young, I felt like I had to live a certain way. And I felt like I had the house and the kids and the dog and
Mhm.
like all of these things. And I faked a life for so long that, there was a lot of things that people didn't see from the outside that were hidden. My husband had an alcohol addiction. I was struggling with things. Like there was a lot that people didn't see. And so after some of that kind of came to light, it was, I knew I never wanted to live like that, and that God can use my struggles to help other people. And so that's really what I try to do on my TikTok channel. And I just try to be real because you can help other people after you've gone through a struggle. And if you can let your light shine for them, and I felt alone a lot of times, and I never want somebody to feel that way.
I love that.
I love that
I love
too.
that
We
so
were just
much.
having that conversation on our last episode that we were saying that's the reason why we want, one of our driving factors, we want to do this because we've put in so much work to get to where we are that we want to make sure that other people know that you're not alone. Like you can do this. Like you can do this.
Yeah.
That's just that. So how old were y'all when y'all got married? You said 25 years. So I'm being super nosy.
I was a
I don't
junior
want
in
to
high
ask.
school. I got married when I was 17. I was a junior in high school. I'm 41 now.
I don't really have any room to talk. I was 19. I was 19. I was young too.
Yeah. So we
That's
have,
crazy.
here we are. Brian and I didn't get that time together when we were younger. So here we are. I'm 41 and about to be an empty nester. So like we're going through the whole,
Wow.
like we're going to
Oh
have
yeah, that's
time.
true.
Yeah, yeah. It's gonna be just like y'all.
Yeah.
I forget that. I
Kind of
forget. Yeah, you
scary.
had your oldest. Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of scared, but
But like, how exciting though. And I was gonna say like,
yeah.
like we say you're gonna be empty nesters, but you know those kids are. It's so funny because I swear like her kids are there at her house all the time. Like still, like and
Yeah.
that's just based on videos. I don't know how like close together those videos are or anything, but
Yeah,
like
no,
just
it, like
watching it,
tonight
it's
before this call, Brandon and Emma called and they're like, "Hey, we got some extra dinner. Have you guys eaten yet? You want to come over and eat?" And I'm like, "Okay, we'll be right there." Like so.
Oh my gosh,
we'll
how
come right
cool.
over. Like it'll be fine. I
No,
love that.
seriously. So everybody's out of the house, right then, except for because he's in his senior year right now.
Except for
Mhm.
Hakeem, right? He's at home
Hakeem.
still,
Okay.
but Aaliyah lives 4 hours away. She's in college.
Okay.
Brent goes to college an hour away. Um, and then Brandon and Emma have their own house across town. They just got married in October.
Cool. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is
Mhm.
crazy that he'll be gone so soon. Oof. Oof. It just
Yeah.
goes so
That's
fast.
I
insane.
know, but that's a whole nother thing because I knew that God knew that I needed him this year because I wasn't ready to be an empty nester this year.
To be
So
done.
having him for his senior year here has been so good. I'm just so thankful.
That's awesome. That's so cool. I love it. No, I'm excited to dig more into your story, Jill. I mean,
Mhm.
when Delancey said you were coming on, she was so excited. I'm like, I don't even know who
I
she is
would.
because I'm not on TikTok a whole lot.
And
So I went to
it's so funny
Instagram
because
and I was like, I was excited. It looked like awesome. Because my husband even he's like, how much you know about her? I'm like, well, 2 months ago when Delancey told me, I kind of like scrolled and looked. I'm like, okay, yeah, this is gonna be cool. I'm like, but I don't know that much. But
well,
I
and
love it.
it's so funny. It's so funny because like when I had messaged Melena and I was like, okay, so I'm gonna try to reach out to this woman on TikTok and or Instagram. I started following her on Instagram. I was like, I'm gonna reach out to her on Instagram. I can't guarantee she's gonna say yes, but hopefully, like fingers crossed, she'll at least like read the message and be like, maybe, possibly. And then when you agreed to it, I was like, oh my god, Melena, she's gonna come on. I don't know when she's gonna come on, but she's gonna come on. And Melena was like, okay, like, and I'm like, you don't understand. Like, this is so exciting because it's one of those things of it's like I felt like I kind of knew you because whenever you put out the videos and everything, you share a part of your life, like you're inviting people in, you're being authentic, you're letting them see. So like I felt like I kind of knew you, but now I feel like I know you on a whole new level, even like I don't like I know you, but I don't know you. Like
I
I have
love
a
that though.
whole
And
new
that's the part that I
appreciation.
wish I could get more of, like with the people who are, like the followers on there. I love the interaction and
Mhm.
I feel like our story does need to be shared. And so I have like
Yeah.
Yes.
kind of made this deal in my head that if somebody asks me to do a podcast, like I'm gonna do it because the more people that we can impact out there, like the better.
Yeah, I love it.
And
I love
I
it.
love
Looks like
that.
and it looks like you're a badass businesswoman too, from what I can see too. So good
Mhm.
for you. Good for
Yeah,
you.
I've been an
Seriously.
entrepreneur from the day from I guess when my husband and I got married, I got my teaching degree, went to college, got my teaching degree, but then chose not to use that and stay home with him. And always have done business on the side. And I've been with the same company for 15 years now with nutrition, and it's amazing. And
Wow. That's
yeah, and so
Oh
awesome.
my
now trying
god.
to figure out this whole social media world and how you can
Mhm.
even make money in the social media world. Like this is all new to me. So I'm a
Yeah.
constant student learning.
That's so cool. That's so awesome. No, I love it. Do you have anything else you want to ask her?
Um, really, I not anything I can think about. Well, honestly, we can ask the same question that we love to ask. What advice would you give to anybody? I really, honestly, I think I would like to expand a little bit. What advice would you like to give to really anyone that is looking to foster or considering foster or is currently in foster, really, or adoption as well? Like, what advice would you give to them, or I guess words of hope or things? What would you like to offer? I
Well, I
guess
think
is
my
what
story, probably shared that, but I think that to hang in there, even when it's tough, to hang in there, because like what you said, the struggle can lead you to something beautiful, and
Mhm.
most all of us struggle at some point before it turns into something beautiful. And so I know that, you know, there's some hard stories out there. And in this you're being like you're serving, and you're serving these children that are in this situation because they didn't ask to be put there. And so just continue to have that mindset around it. And, you know, like I said before, like the permanent mindset for us was huge because it did get really hard. And so to hang in there in those hard times, because there are happy times coming.
I love it.
If you don't follow Jill, go follow her. I'm going to plug that right now.
Yeah, if you do not follow her, go follow her. Her content. I mean, y'all have obviously heard me fangirl several times on this episode. Like, it's fantastic. It is warm and fuzzy, and it's very wholesome, and it's very loving. So and this just makes me love
she's
her
real.
even more.
Like those kind of people are what I'm drawn to. Real people that are honest and not like, look at my white kitchen. And I'm like, look at my ghetto kitchen right now, people. Like,
you guys should see my office right now. Like, I'm sitting in the one space that maybe is somewhat clean because there's Christmas presents all around me. There's Christmas presents all on the floor. I have a stack for each of the kids that I was trying to organize. So
love it.
I love it.
Real
I
life,
love
real
it.
life.
Real. I love it. I love the authenticity. Ooh, hard word. Milena, do you have anything you would like to ask or add or?
No, I thank you for coming on and sharing a part of your night with us. And I really appreciate it, because one of the things, and I told Delancey this, that I love doing these is we learn every single time. We learn something new. And I love that you brought in, you know, foster to adopt, but I love that it's a teenager. Like, I don't think we've had anybody on that it's been a teenager, and just, it's different because I feel like teenage age is such a hard time of life anyway, whether you're with biological family or not, you know what I mean? Like, it's just hard. And kids are a pain in the ass. I love mine, but they are, and it's just going to get harder. But no, just thank you, Jill. And thank you for being real. And thank you for just taking some time out of your night to do this and just to help educate us and to shine your light. Cause I'm excited. I'm excited to get to know you better and to watch you and your cute family.
Well, me too. Yeah. I really appreciate you guys asking me, and I love that I did get to share, and I'm excited to get to know you guys better too.
Woo!
Well, Jill, thank you. Like Milena said, thank you so much for joining us. And yeah, I guess we can close it out. Milena usually does a closing. I'm not good at closing. I'm good at opening.
You're good. No. Thanks, guys, for joining us and listening. And like I said, go follow Jill. I can tag her in all the notes of everything that we have. But seriously, Jill, thanks again so much for coming on and spending your night with us.
Thank you.